So I'm here with Takashi, starting off your haircut. You want to tell us a little bit what you're looking for here?
Yes, I'm looking for pretty short haircut. I just want to check all the hairlines, what kind of hair growth he has. If he has a scar and stuff, I don't want to take it too short.
So what are you showing me there with the comb?
I just want to check the angle. So I want to keep the length from the front end.
So the technique we're going to do today is point cutting, and there's a couple of different ways you change it up.
Yes. First, if I want to take off the length, I change the angle with the scissors. If I make it a little more horizontal, I can take off the length. And then if I do more vertical, just putting a more space into it. And then now I like to take off the length. I'm going to bring my scissors a little bit more sideways, so that way I can take off some length. Kind of zigzag feel to it.
Okay, kind of jack-o'-lantern. And the key thing in this is closing the blade on the way out.
Yes, that's the most important key point. If you don't close your scissors way out, you're going to cut yourself. So just close your scissors way out.
So pretty much you're starting on the top there, you're reducing some of the length, but keeping it quite square.
Yes, I like to keep the corners on the side to make it kind of stronger shape feel to it. So just keeping a little bit more square on the top. Just take off the length first, see the shape. So just going to the point cut, just cut it kind of zigzag feel to it. You don't really have to cut it too perfect. And then I just finished the center back. Now I'm just kind of checking right now. And I'm just checking the balance to it, and then make sure it's kind of square. Just check. And if whenever you see kind of long piece, you just want to take off a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So you do a lot of refining work too as you go through.
Exactly. I just want to see kind of perfect feel to it, but yet still kind of zigzag on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a guide for the side. So just pull it to the side. I like to cut it kind of angle to it, but yet I want to cut it still pretty tight.
So this is your scissor over comb technique.
Yes.
And I notice you use a looser tooth comb.
Yes, because if I use a finer tooth, it's going to give me too much tension. So that way, sometimes I put too much tension, you're going to get a little bit holes. So looser is a little bit better for me.
So the tighter comb kind of gives you stickiness. It sort of sticks into the head. It doesn't follow through.
Right.
So the kind of key point you were telling me is kind of keeping the fluid comb moving all the time, yeah?
Yes.
And the other thing you do is you kind of parallel your bottom blade of the scissor with the bed of the comb.
Yes. This bottom scissors, bottom blade, try to not use it too much. So that way you're going to get great control with it.
So it's really about control, yeah?
Yes, about control. And then comb is more important than your scissors. Comb is your guide. So always make sure don't push your comb with your scissors. Always lightly touching it.
So you're using that top corner of the piece you previously cut as a kind of target, if you will, yeah?
Yes, that's my guide. So I don't want to cut that hair, so just aiming to that hair. So now I'm cutting back corners, keeping weight on the dead center on the back, so I'm cutting kind of diagonal feel to it.
So the diagonal is the best fit for the back of the head, wouldn't you think?
I think so. If you cut it horizontal, you sometimes get too much step on the head.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really want to see the step on the head. So kind of do the diagonal, so kind of give you kind of forgiveness feel to it.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of medium line.
Exactly. Yes.
It's amazing to watch you doing this on camera. I know you never use clippers. I think something you told me once is the difference between handmade and machine-made. And I love this particular technique.
Yes, I like to do kind of handmade. If I want to buy something, I prefer handmade. So.
Oh, yeah. Again, I think it builds value, and I think that's what we're saying here. We're not saying there's anything wrong with clippers. But what we are saying is to build a higher value for the customer is having an ability like this would really, I think, make a client just jump for joy to have this type of service accomplished successfully. Now we're in the center back now.
Yes, just take off the corners. So I kind of cut it diagonal, so you don't want to keep the too much corner in the back center. So just take off some corners off.
And how far over the center are you working?
Kind of watch your balance, and then I kind of want to see a little bit heavy in the back center, so keeping a little bit more weight just on the center back, but not too heavy. And make sure you move your comb a little bit slower than your scissors. So as you can see the shape a little bit on the side. Now I'm going to go back to kind of exact same thing on the other side.
So pretty much common on them, section off of the parietal ridge, get the top out of the way.
Exactly. So that way I don't lose the corner. So I want to keep the corner really strong for the guy's haircut.
Now, do you have a difference from one side to another? Does it feel a little more awkward on the second side? Or?
Yes. Usually my right side is a little bit harder side. So I usually cut the easier side first, try to match the difficult side afterwards. If you're cutting the right hand side, you might want to bring the comb a little bit, push to the forward that little bit, so that way you can catch all the hair.
So kind of whatever way the hair is growing, you're kind of going the opposite way?
Exactly, so that way you can catch all the kind of hair, especially pattern for the curly hair like his.
Mm-hmm.
It has too much like direction on the growth.
It's amazing to kind of watch the bed of the scissor all the way constantly with the bed of the comb. Have you been scissor combing for a long time?
I've been doing it for a while. Like I never used clippers before, so I prefer scissors over comb out of clippers. But once you hang over it, it's pretty easy to do. So now I'm connecting from scissors over comb to the top of the hair. So taking diagonal sections and then bring it a little bit down, so it keeps a little bit more weight in the corner on the side. And then just follow the same manner to the back area. So still taking diagonal sections straight out, just connecting it. And then you take a section, just one section over to the other side. So if I cutting both sides, you're gonna match on the corners.
So it'll just blend in together perfectly.
Exactly.
So here we have an even better visual there, that real connection between the top area down into the bottom.
So you can see it. You can see the guide from the scissors over comb, and then just take off the corner.
So now we're coming up to that one section past the center.
Yes.
So if it's done correctly, you've got a good marriage right in the back area there.
Right, so you're going to get a little slightly peak, not big peak, but just slight. And then now I'm just blending on the side. So just use the point of the scissors, kind of scissors over comb, but just take off the some of the bulk, kind of looking for some blends. And
so is that the difference here? We're getting a more blended line than if you were just to go straight scissor right onto the comb?
Yes, if you do the straight on the comb, you're going to get a little bit kind of reach to it, kind of edge to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to kind of blend in a little bit. So from sharp line to kind of textured line.
Now, does the comb move a little slower on this technique to allow you to make more cuts through the section?
Yes, I have to stop slow a little bit, because if I move a little bit too fast, I only cut one point. So I want to cut it everywhere. So just move a little bit slower. Now I go back in and little clean up.
Now, the one thing I think on men's hair, Takashi, is the proportional value. So you chose to keep all the hair a good length for a kind of guideline, but now you're choosing to kind of tighten it in, firm it in a little bit, yeah?
Yes, so once I want to see the shape first, and then you cut roughly, and then after that, you kind of see the shape, just detail work a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So on the neckline, we always see kind of finer hair, so you want to make sure cut everything. nice and tight.
And I think that's what males as a customer especially appreciate, is that detail. And especially if they don't think they can get it everywhere, I think that's what makes it really sought after technique. You get a lot of guys that feel this technique and immediately want to brag about it because it's not so common in today's culture of the hair salon. So now going into the start, when you said looking at for scars, you can see now that this texture is so short how important that would be.
I think so.
So back up top, what are we going to do here?
So now I like to put a little bit more texture into the hair, a little bit more airy feel to it. So straight in, and then I don't want to take off any more length, so just cut into the hair.
So the blade's parallel with the hair that you're pulling out?
Yes, correct. So that way I don't, not going to take off the length, just put into the space, nice texturey feel to it. And once you use the products on it, you can see that texture really, really well. So make sure front hairline, you overlay a little bit to the back, so you can you can keep the length from the front. Now back end, it's a little bit heavy, so I like to take off some of the bulkiness out. I'm not taking off any length, I'm just taking off all the bulks out.
So in essence, on the crown there, you're really just depleting the volume, you're just making it sit, but not by layering, just by kind of flattening out the area.
Yes, I'm not taking off any length, so just control the amount of hair. And on the side as well. Just keeping the corners, but just break into it. So you can see the big corner here. I'm not taking off the length, just break into it.
I think point cutting is probably one of the more effective ways to cut men's hair, especially when you get to shorter proportions. Hair gets really flat. So it means you have to go in and really texturize afterwards, and this is a great combination technique.
Finishing with tea tree styling gel by Paul Mitchell. And then just I'm going to put onto the hair, and then you place it with your fingers. Never use your comb or anything like that to see the texture. So that way you can see really, really well the texture is put into it.
Especially from the point cutting, it seems to give the hair just incredible versatility.
And then this is my finished look. As you can see, nice and tight.
You can really see the texture now that the point cutting achieves.
As a professional hairdresser, I'd like to congratulate you guys for discovering this new opportunity, the new information that exists there. And you're like me, you're going to see these opportunities every single day in the salon, and that's really what Paul Mitchell is all about.